There are times life presents you with an opportunity. I'm not talking opportunity like a new career or promotion. I'm talking about the opportunity to be part of something bigger. Bigger than yourself. And in this case, bigger than we could even imagine. It started in the spring of 2019. I had some reservations about a trip that we were planning about a year or two out, and I went over to Bert's house to let him know, and I told him I wanted to absolutely make it to Bring It Home. Without hesitation, he was in, and Austin and Johnny needed little convincing. And this is our story. So what was Bring It Home? Bring It Home was an event organized by Adam Sandoval. I'll let Bert tell you more about him in a minute. And the event was organized to break a Guinness Book of World Records held by Greece for the longest continuous parade of Harley-Davidson motorcycles in the world. 2,404 consecutive Harleys was the current record. And in the process, it raised money for an amazing cause. Wait a minute, Greece holds the record? And see, that's the issue. No European country should hold a record for an American-made motorcycle. Now there's some great companies that have defined American air history. Ford, General Motors, Remington, Colgate, JP Morgan, Pabst Blue Ribbon are just a few examples. But as defining as those companies have been, none of them curated a culture or a lifestyle like that of Harley-Davidson. Now some people love Harley, some people hate Harley, some people love to hate Harley. But one thing no one can argue is that without Harley-Davidson, the American culture of motorcycling would not be what it is today. And that being said, this is why we had to bring the record home.
Early Adam saw what his whole deal was with trying to raise money for veterans and for children of veterans and military families. Being from military family, an Army brat, like I really, was into that. That was an awesome purpose that he had. And so I just started following from there, like watching every video. I've been following Adam for a while, since, I don't know if it was Facebook, but it was a while back, I think before anybody else. And I'd heard in one of his videos about this, and apparently he had already had an attempt or two. So, and I think he was 18, they were putting it together, and I wanted to go. And I think this might have been even before we were like really hanging out as much as we were. And I just couldn't make it happen. So selfishly, I was a little excited when they didn't actually get it in 2018, because I kind of figured he'd be trying again. When they failed and they rescheduled the dates, I brought it up again, and we talked about it. And I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't really know if you guys were going to be down. And then we had been talking Sturgis, and you came over because you wanted to break the news that you didn't know if you'd be able to do Sturgis, but you wanted to possibly do this ride. And I think that's kind of where our whole YouTube channel actually took off, because you wanted to document this on video, so you wanted to you brought up kind of the idea, maybe let's do a YouTube. And I'm like, I don't want to be on camera. Like, if you want to do it, all right, but whatever. So that's when it started. We kind of started toying around with the idea, and then when you said you weren't sure if you were going to be able to do Sturgis the next year, we kind of committed. I said, I'm down if you're down, and we hit up John and Austin, and it kind of took off from there.
Well, for me, it was one of those where Bert was talking about it, and he was throwing it out. I kept hearing him talk about Adam Sandoval and all the other things, but I had really no idea. I didn't follow him at the time. I didn't really know what he was about. So Bert actually mentioned it to me. He's like, hey, what do you think about this trip? And me going through some hard times during that time, after learning more about Adam Sandoval and what he was about and what Bring It Home was about, I was all in.
I think it was you and Bert originally had talked about it, kind of threw it out there as, hey, they got this thing going down in Texas, try and break the record. They've tried a couple times, they failed, but we need to be a part of it, and I was definitely in for that.
So planning of the trip was pretty straightforward. We had 4 bikes, 2 road glides, 1 Ultra, 1 Road King, and the plan was to make Tazewell, Virginia on the first day.
You know, right away kind of started making plans, checking out the route, trying to figure out, you know, how many days we would need to get down, how many days we'd need to take off from work, all that. I mean, a lot went into it. I started looking at hotels. I think pretty early on, one of the first things I might have did was went on and booked a hotel down there in at the casinos. I forget the name of the casinos down there, but I booked a hotel. I said, all right, we got the hotel, you know, we'll go from there. Started planning the route, and then Austin or John, one of them contacted me about this idea of the back of the Dragon. They said they were looking at it at work, and they saw it was kind of on the way. Kind of told me where it was, so then I started looking for a hotel that would be close to there and trying to see how we would work that in. Well, it worked out perfectly. It was it took us like right to our final destination for day one in Virginia, and we were like a couple miles from the actual start of the back of the Dragon, and then where the back of the Dragon would finish off, we're only a few miles from hopping right back on the main highway and heading to Tennessee. So it couldn't have worked out any better. It put us at about 500 miles for the first day. We didn't have to rush. We actually hit 3 or 4 Harley Davidsons on the way down, so that was awesome. The first day, I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better. It was hot, and it was a little tiring because of the heat, but it put us in a perfect spot to set us up for day 2, to hit the back of the Dragon and then continue on to Tennessee. Bluefield, Virginia, you know, spent the night in a hotel full of stink bugs, smacking them off the ceiling so they don't fall in bed with me when I'm trying to sleep. Got up, and early morning we had you know, a lot of miles to try to bang out because we only did about 500 day 1, so we had a lot to go, and we weren't far from the back of the Dragon. You know, we set out, we hit the back of the Dragon, and from there, man, it's just...
So the back of the Dragon. John came up with the idea to ride the back of the Dragon. He found it online. He has ridden the tail of the Dragon years ago, and he thought this would be an awesome road. And I was like, all right.
I found the road. You know, I think I'm like most people who ride. You know, you have roads that you want to, you know, in your mind you're like, someday I want to ride that road. You know, whether it's PCH, Route 66, back of the Dragon, you know, Blue Ridge Parkway, whatever it is. You know, and so because we were going down there, I poked around a bunch of riding websites, and you know, I found that area up there and found that road, and it looked like a real good road, and it had really great reviews, and I just thought it'd be, you know, a huge plus for us. Check it off of our list.
Now, I remember waking up that morning, well, after going to bed a little bit late after all the stink bug massacre that was going on in the room. Woke up that morning, and it was like, this is going to be a tough road. I'm not going to lie, I was a bit nervous, because I've done some technical roads before, but I didn't know what to expect. Like, once you make that left turn into 16, it was just, you're on it. You're taking turns the whole way, bike's leaning one way. In reality, the bike almost wanted to take the turns on its own. And the way the roads were banked and everything, the scenery, it was awesome. It was a great experience. Going up one mountain, coming down the other, you know, and then the view when you hit up to the stop, up at the top of the second mountain, I believe it was just mountain range as far as you could see.
So I had no idea what we were getting into. And anybody who says that they weren't puckered up a little bit during that ride is just not telling you the truth. This was by far the most technical road I've ever ridden, and it was 32 miles long to boot, with 3,500 feet of elevation and 400 and something odd curves. So it was a pretty intense ride.
For me, I got my bike to cruise. You know, I was never a sport bike guy, never a thrill seeker. I like to cruise and just enjoy the ride, the scenery, and this is the most technical ride I've ever had to do at that point. You know, back of the Dragon, it was like 30 miles of, like, once you started, you're pretty much in a turn the whole time. You know, elevation changes, roads banked and at a turn. I I was nervous. I was wondering how these guys were going to be, you know, behind me. I'm worried about them because I'm leading the pack, so I got to worry about them. But I'm worried about myself because I've never done anything like this. It was intense, and it was a little stressful, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a beautiful road, beautiful scenery. We were there. It was a weekday, so there was very little traffic, which made it great. And we got to one point where there was like a scenic overlook. We stopped. It was probably roughly the halfway point. Stopped. Everybody was excited, you know, just happy that we were doing it. It's one of those things for me. I'm not, like I said, not a thrill seeker, but I'm very competitive, and just to say that I did it was all I was really looking for. Met some really cool people in cars. I forget what kind of cars it was. Crossfires, right? I think it was Crossfires. Big group from maybe 5 or 6 Crossfires. They were doing the back of the Dragon, and then they were going to head from there to the tail of the Dragon. Talked to them for a little bit. That was kind of a theme of the whole trip, though. We met really cool, friendly people all along the way. Everywhere we seemed to stop, you know, people were, you know, either asking us where we were from or noticing from our license plates that we were from New Jersey, commenting, man, you guys are a long ways from home, what are you doing? And every time we would tell them, oh, you know, we're heading to Texas, there's a world record ride, we're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, everybody was interested, just asking us, you know, what we were doing. So that was cool. It was kind of a theme for the whole ride, just really friendly people. So we met these Crossfire people. We chatted with them for a while, and then we went back to the road to finish the back of the Dragon. I think we were like halfway through at that point, so we finished up, and it put us right back on the highway and headed to Tennessee, and we had a lot of ground to cover. So from there it was time to haul the mail.
It was hot, traffic. It was one of those where we wish we could have passed that truck that was blocking us in. Definitely got clutch hand for a good 45 minutes on that.
Long day, extremely long day, much hotter than expected. I think when we all planned this trip, I think we were thinking, oh, it's October, it's gonna be nice weather, beautiful riding. Well, it was hot. It was blazing hot, and once we hit Tennessee, there was a lot of construction, a lot of traffic. At one point we were stopped in a construction zone. Just walking the bikes. We're like on a hill in the mountains in Tennessee, and it's one lane, and it's just kind of crawling and crawling. We had actually it was 2 lanes, but there was a truck next to us, a big rig that didn't want to let us get through.
I mean, what I remember the most across from Tennessee was the food.
So all throughout the trip, I was telling these guys we have to stop at the Loveless Cafe. It should be right on our route, and it should be either a lunch or a dinner. Wasn't sure which one. So late in the day, day 2, we hit the Loveless Cafe, and I'm telling you, the best fried chicken, amazing cream corn, and the best biscuits that I've ever had. It's worth the drive from New Jersey to Nashville just for the fried chicken.
Loveless Cafe. So you had talked it up, you know, when we were planning the trip. I had no idea what to expect. You know, the whole time I remember we were kind of BSing, just like, you know, George wants to stop at this place, and nobody really knew much about it, but, you know, George says it's good, so let's do it. We got in there kind of late at night that night, and it was, you know, what you said about it didn't compare to what it actually was. Phenomenal. I mean, just the food was great, the atmosphere was great, the servers were freaking awesome. I mean, they were friendly and just, you know, a ton of information, and you know, the fried chicken, that cream corn, holy smokes, man, oh, phenomenal.
The Southern hospitality in this Loveless Cafe, I believe it was called, it was great. The food, he said fried chicken, I was in. I love me some fried chicken. And not to knock the fried chicken, I had to have some of the sweet corn that the rest of the guys had actually tried, because I did not get it at first.
George is a bit of a foodie, him and his wife, food snobs, and they said it was good, so I'm like, all right, if it's good, let's do it. Everybody was on board. We had to get off the highway, some back roads, got there late, but it was every bit worth it. It was like old, you know, Southern style fried chicken, which was amazing. Some of the best fried chicken I've ever had. But the cream corn will change your life. This was like a dessert served as a regular meal. It was amazing. It was so good. The chicken was good. The corn was good. The people were amazing. It was a cool atmosphere. They were coming over talking to us, the people that worked there. I think at one point it might have been a manager. Somebody came over to talk to us, about how we were doing, how was the food. And of course it led to, what are you guys doing? Where are you going? We tell them. Everybody was really, excited about what we were trying to do and, giving us kudos for doing it. So at that point it was getting late and we were behind schedule and didn't have any place to stay. We weren't going to make it as far as we wanted to. So I got online on the phone, started looking for hotels. We settled on a place. We had about another hour to push, at night. So we did it. And that was actually probably the best riding of the day. The temperature had dropped. It was cool. It was comfortable. We hauled butt down the highway for about an hour, a little over an hour, to our hotel and called it a night.
Probably one of the more memorable days out of the whole trip, because it felt like everything happened for a reason.
Day 3, we knew we were behind schedule a little bit from a lot of traffic and heat and everything. Day 2, so we got up nice and early. It was still dark. Got on the highway. I think we had looked online and saw that there was a dealership, so we kind of headed to that point. Rock City Harley Davidson in Little Rock. We got there, no problems. We got there pretty quick. Pulled in there, got off the bikes. We were all anxious to get inside and buy our poker chips and t-shirt or whatever we were gonna get, and then get back on the road. And George pointed out, look at that bike. That we know whose bike that is. Well.
So yeah, we were pulling into Rock City Harley Davidson. Right away I noticed the Henri one's bike. Bert's been a big fan. He's been following this guy since probably he's had, less than 1,000 followers. And
I wasn't a big follower of YouTube at that time. So the guys mentioned, hey, you know who that bike is? I overheard him. I really had no clue who the Henri one was. And I remember just going through, getting my poker chip, watching the bike, looking at the bikes that they had there, and all of a sudden I see Bert just take off. And he goes right to the bathroom.
At that point in time, Adam Sandoval and the Henri one were the 2 biggest ones that I followed, that I liked, that I was always watched, thought they were awesome. So I got all giddy and excited. Let's go see what's up. So we go inside, and right away we saw he was over talking to some people already, they were workers from the dealership or something. So we said, all right, he's talking. We headed back to go get our poker chips or whatever, and I saw it looked like he was getting ready to make a move, that he was probably going to be leaving. And I saw he headed to the bathroom. So this is really awkward. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not letting this opportunity to pass this up. I'm going to meet him one way or another. So I followed him to the bathroom. Pulled up next to the urinal, and I'm like, oh, funny meeting you here. And we had a couple small, interactions back and forth, on social media. So he kind of looked over, and you can see in his eyes, I look familiar, but he didn't know who I was. But so he made a comment, and we joked for a minute, and then I said, yeah, we're Baggers and Brews. We follow you on YouTube and Instagram and all that. And he's like, oh, I thought you looked familiar. So we make our way out of the bathroom, and the rest of the guys are there, and his wife Steph is there. We chatted them up for a little bit, took some pictures. And then he said, he had to get going because they had to meet up, in Texarkana with his buddy John. They're riding down into Paris from there. I'm like, all right, great to meet you, whatever. They went about their way. Well, I'm like, we go get our poker chips, and it wasn't a minute or two. It might not even have been that long. He walked out the door, and a few seconds later, he walked back in, and he's like, hey, if you guys want to tag along, ride with us, you're more than welcome to. Well, heck yeah. Chance to ride with the Henri one, let's do this. So I gathered everybody up as quick as I could and got us out to the bikes, because we were still paying for stuff and whatnot. And he said he was going to run over to the gas station and meet us over there, and we'll roll from there. So got everybody on the bikes. We all had to put our stuff away. George had his camera stuff out and all that. So we head over. We go to the wrong gas station. He's nowhere to be found.
we kind of poked around and we couldn't find him, and we thought our opportunity was gone. We said, here it was, we had a chance and we messed up, and we went to the wrong gas station, now he's gone. And so we went ahead and jumped on the highway and started heading out, and man, I don't think we were 5 minutes into the ride and these bikes come flying up behind us, and it's him.
And all I see is Steph trying to kick Bert, and freaking TJ doing some weird things with his fingers.
So TJ and Steph, they called up to us. I said to Bert over the comms, I said, I hope these guys can ride, because we've been crushing the miles all day, and our goal is to obviously make Paris, Texas before dinner. Well, there was no worry there. After about 2 miles in, we knew we were good.
And so we tuck in behind them, and we're on the comms, and I think George might have said, I hope this guy rides fast, because we had been hauling butt to get to that point to make up ground. And it wasn't very long before I said, I don't think we're going to be using cruise control on this, because he was bobbing in and out all over the place. We were trying to keep up, but it was a lot of fun. And next thing you know, you look up and the sky was as black as it could be. And George is like, I don't think that's good. I think we got a problem. Sure enough, a few minutes down the road, he darts across like 2 lanes of traffic to hit the rest stop, which is a left exit off the highway. We all make it off, and he's like, I think we're gonna suit up from here. It looks like rain's coming. And we're like, yeah, it's definitely coming. So we all suit up and get back on the road. He said, if it starts raining, he was gonna tone it down. Go a little slower. He wouldn't be hauling ass if it started pouring.
We weren't on the road but maybe a minute, and that rain just came down. It was blinding. Couldn't see a darn thing. All I kept wanting to try and focus on was Bert's taillights.
We hit this rainstorm that was beyond anything I could even describe. It was unbelievably, a hard rainstorm. And, we were trying to hang with him as best we could, but man, that guy can run. He can run. And, we eventually caught up with him after the storm, but great ride, great stories, and Bert did a great job leading,
Trying to wipe my glasses, they're fogging up, they're getting wet, I'm soaked. I can't see in the mirror and behind me. I'm just trying to follow. At that point, I'm just trying to let cars go past so I can follow their taillights. And this goes on for, it felt like a good half hour. I'm not really sure, wasn't timing it, but it felt like a good half hour of just solid downpour. And finally it eases up, and I didn't realize that until I kind of moved my glasses and realized it wasn't even raining anymore, because it was so dark and fogged up. So I kind of got on the throttle a little bit to see if we could catch up, and sure enough, after a few minutes you could see their taillights and you could tell it was them, and we caught up to them. And wasn't much longer before we rolled in, made a turn off the highway and rolled into Texarkana Harley Davidson.
So yeah, after the rain, we come pulling into Texarkana Harley Davidson, and who is standing on the corner with a bullhorn but John Maxwell, which is apparently obviously TJ's friend John, who we were coming to meet. Which I didn't let the guys know, but I had already known that John was going to be there, because I was following his ride from Columbus, Georgia at his dealership across the country, where he was picking up bikes all along the way for this world record attempt. There were so many variables in the trip, I never thought we'd even come close to meeting up with him. So it was just another, piece of this perfect day 3 that we had.
And there was already a ton of bikes there, and so, it was pretty cool showing up there and, hooking up with all of them, and then getting to ride with, those guys, all the way into Paris, Texas from Texarkana. I don't know how many bikes there were, 100 plus bikes easily, and for that many bikes, and, as a group that big too, to be running pretty doggone hard too, was pretty cool. Really enjoyed that. That was awesome.
Had to be about 160 bikes, biggest group of bikes that I rode that many miles with before. I think we did 60 or 70 miles from there to get to Paris Harley Davidson. Just an awesome ride. Everybody was excited, ready to get down and break the world record, starting with a big group. It was a great ride. Kind of just one of those things. John had been saying it the whole trip, that just everything's kept falling into place for us. we think that we were behind schedule, but then this would happen, and it was like, it was all for a reason, you know. Everything just kind of fell into place and just kept getting better and better. And so eventually, you know, after the 60 or 70 miles, we rolled into Paris Harley-Davidson, where there was a huge crowd of people getting ready for this ride, hanging out, having beers, getting t-shirts, all that stuff. So we hung out there for a little bit.
It was, it seemed like a lot of people had already come and they've moved forward to their destinations. And we parked up, we found the beer, you know, went in the dealer, got our souvenirs like the poker chips, picked up a couple shirts, and then went out to the beer tent, had our celebrating beer. Cheers.
Baggers and Brews, first beer in Paris, Texas, Mexican lager. 1,500 miles, 2.5 days, and this last day from Jackson, Tennessee, all the way to Paris, Texas. Cheers.
So we go to this buffet. It's literally 50 feet from the hotel, and so we go in this buffet, and it's pretty cool. We sit down and we're eating, and you know, we're talking about, you know, the ride and where we were from, and you know, just each other. We're just all BSing, and this lady is sitting at a table behind us, hears us, and you know, she makes some comment about, you know, you guys came all the way from where? And we're like, oh, New Jersey. She's like, New Jersey?
What the F are you all doing down here? And we all lost it. It was hilarious because it was the last thing you thought you'd hear from this old lady. So we explained what we were doing, and then that kind of got more people, more tables around us talking to us. There was a couple or a family next to us on the other side that was originally from PA, so they started talking to us because, you know, they're close to us, PA, New Jersey. So it was just, the people were super friendly. We were cracking up the whole time, having a conversation with these people, and then the other guys that were also there for the ride. And it was a good time, and it was just kind of the way the whole trip went, man. Everything happened for a reason, everything flowed, and every step of the way we were just getting good laughs and having a great time.
Yeah, so we got up early. We rode over from Paris, Texas into Reno, Texas, where Cox Field Airport was. And I had never heard of Reno, Texas. Little town, it's about 12 square miles, 2,000 people. And on this day, we were about to have 4,000 motorcycles descend upon this town. Probably in the neighborhood of 7,000 people we packed into this airport in a town of 2,000.
We were up and at it early. I don't remember the exact time for like when they were starting registration, but we wanted to be early. I feel like we got there by like 7. So that means we were up much earlier, and we, you know, headed over there, and we got there early thinking, oh, we're gonna be like, you know, the beginning of this line or whatever. Well, there was already a lot of bikes there. There were several rows of bikes there already, but we were early. We were super early. Got parked, head back to, you know, go check in and do that whole thing. We had pre-registered, so we just had to check in. And then, man, it just seemed like for the next couple hours, the bikes were just rolling in and rolling in and rolling in. It wasn't long before, you know, then it felt like we were at the front because there was just so many more bikes lined up.
So registration for the event was pretty specific. You had to present your bike registration to ensure your bike had a Harley-Davidson VIN number, which is something they ran into in the past. And then you were given an electronic bracelet, which would be recorded when you passed the finish line. They also stickered each bike on its headlight with a number that was required. The record keeping by Guinness was also very specific. Aside from the electronic bracelet, the number in your headlight, there was a Guinness official clicking each bike at the start, and then the event had to be recorded by drone, and then the finish line was also recorded on camera. The lowest of all these numbers would be the official tally for the record.
The bikes just kept coming and coming and coming, and, you know, we kind of felt like we had talked about this. We kind of felt like, you know, we were going to break this record because of the work that people like Adam Sandoval did, and John Maxwell, and Biking Bird, and just there was a lot of big name YouTubers, social media people like promoting this, so we kind of felt like this was going to be the one. But the bikes just kept coming and coming, and then they had to move, you know, this whole side was filled up, so they started the other side, and that was just filling up and filling up. It was an amazing atmosphere. Everybody was in a great mood. Everybody was excited, pumped up about breaking this record. You know, a lot of patriotism and patriotic stuff going on. People were flying their drones, getting their footage for their channels.
Before the ride, it was hot. Oh, it was hot. You know, the whole trip down was hot. That particular day was hot. You know, I wish I would have prepared better and brought more water and stuff. You know, at one point I had complained, you know, about the bathrooms and stuff, but someone did remind me that, you know, this event turned out to be a lot bigger than what was expected, and you know, I had never really taken that in consideration. And you know, honestly, looking back now and looking at how many people, you know, were there, it was absolutely bigger than, you know, than they imagined. I mean, I don't know that there was much room to put many more bikes. I mean, you know, you had the whole ramp was filled with bikes. You had them down the taxiway. I mean, it was, you know, it was an amazing sight. Absolutely amazing.
The event was unreal. We watched motorcycles pile into Cox Field probably for 5 or 6 hours, and they just kept stacking bikes until they almost ran out of room, and they had people all the way down the taxiway. So it was about 1:30 maybe, I think, that Adam emerged, you know, from the tent that they had in the back where he was with the Guinness officials and a couple other YouTubers, where he felt, you could see he felt pretty confident that we had the numbers to break the record. All we had to do was execute. And then he came out and he gave this awesome speech, let people know not only who he was, as if they might not have known, and really what we were doing there.
Yeah, rock and roll, man. Rock and roll, baby. We got this. We got it. We got it. We got it, baby. We're doing it this year. Oh my, look at this. Hey y'all, my name's Adam Sandoval. This is my little pal Scooter here. And yeah. I want to start this off in tradition, how I normally do it, y'all. First of all, I want to tell you all, I did not serve in my military. I want to make that crystal clear. I was distracted, temptations, poor choices kept me from doing it in my teens and 20s. In my 30s, that regret set in. And that's when I decided that I should live my life by a very simple motto. And that is, if you did not serve in your military, find time to serve those that did. Can I get an amen? Come on. So listen, this is a beautiful thing. I know we've got multiple countries here, but they're all supporting us for one reason. And that is because of our American pride. The way we handle ourselves, the way we support one another, the way we lift each other up. And it's all of you that made it out here from God knows every part of this country that we are able to do this today. Today we are going to break this world record. And we are bringing it home to America. That's right. That's right. But we need some more noise. So first of all, one thing we do as Americans, all right, is support our military. Can I hear you make some noise for them? That's right, all the veterans of the past. I know we got a lot of you in here. Put your hands up all across this airport. Every veteran, look at all these people who have served our country brave. Let's hear it for our veterans. Now, I need to hear it for our veterans. That's right, amen. And there's one other thing that I like to do in gatherings like this and rallies all across the country, and that is remember that we appreciate our veterans, but we also need to remember our active duty. We've got veterans all across this country, but we've got active duty across many countries right now, out there fighting for our freedom so that we can do things like we're doing right here today, setting world records. All right? So let me hear some noise for our active duty. And now I need y'all. I know a lot of you back here, I didn't hear you. I need you all. This is a thing I like to do. I want to punch a hole in the sky again tonight. I want to punch a hole in this sky right here that everybody can hear us overseas. I want them to hear why we're here today. Setting world records is great, but supporting our military is greater. I want every person in this place to make as much noise as you possibly can, and let's let them hear us overseas how much we appreciate them. Make that noise, y'all. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yes, you ain't got to stop that anytime soon. You keep that going. Let's hear those bikes. Let's hear that American iron. Let's hear that American iron. Start those bikes. Let's hear them. Yeah, baby. Y'all, thank y'all so much. Listen, from the bottom of my heart, I have to thank every single one of you that came out here today. I mean, y'all came from everywhere. You spent your hard-earned money. We came together to make a difference, man. And, you know, 4 years I've been trying to break this record. You know, I've tried it in Florida. I've tried it in Texas. I've called out to everybody all across the country to help us bring this world record home where it belongs. I mean, it does belong there, does it not? It belongs right here. So thank you all. Yeah, no, thank you, man. Thank you. I couldn't do this without all of you. Without all of you, we would not have the voice we have. We would not have these people here. So I just genuinely want to say thank you. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, man. I appreciate every one of you. And then, you know, thank you. God damn. All right, y'all. So, Scooter's right here up here with me. If you can't see him, he's here with me, man. Scooter wanted to be here today. I am bringing this world record home with y'all on my old Warhorse. It's a 1996 Electra Glide Standard. It's the first motorcycle to ride to every Harley Davidson dealership in the entire country. And I know I saw a lot of you along the way. You all have taken me in. You put me in your homes. You put me, you fed me. I mean, y'all took such good care of me, man. We got such a beautiful country. We really do. So let's hear it for all those people. All right, so here it goes, man, y'all. This year, my goal was to raise some serious money for a very serious cause, and that's motorcycle missions. And they don't only help they don't only help veterans, but they also help first responders. And if y'all know anything about me, man, I support my first responders. Let's hear it for our first responders, man. They're living in a tough time too, right here on our own soil.
Finally, they started, you know, they gave the announcement that they were going to start it up. And like these things, you know, if you've been to any of these big bike rides, you know, you get excited because here we go. You know, everybody wants to fire their bike up. It's time to go. But it's a good hour before we even budged after that. You know, when you have that many bikes, it takes a while.
The sound, seeing all these bikes come through was really cool.
Rolling past all these bikes, man, and all these people, everybody's excited. You know, we roll out, we get on the taxiway, we're still passing bikes. There's still so many bikes that have to go after us. At that point, it's like, in my mind, it was a done deal. There's no way we didn't break this record. But unlike a lot of rides, you know, where this many bikes, you get going, you get an accordion effect, you're stopping, you're starting, your feet are down.
One thing I'll say is once your feet were up, they never touched the ground. It was third, fourth gear all the way around the runways, around the entire course that they had set up. And I had never been on a group ride that was that big where you weren't crawling or clutching your bike the whole time. So I thought that was really awesome.
Once we started going, the feet were up. We cruised, you know, all through the, I don't know, what do you call it, the tarmac, the airport, the run, all the different taxiways, the course they had set up. And you got through the finish line, and there were still bikes that had to go. I mean, at that point, I was pretty confident. I don't know about the rest of the guys. Pretty confident that this was a done deal.
You know, everybody's wanting to go fast, but at the same time, nobody was going fast. I think only the first group actually got to go fast. But that feeling when you're out there and seeing the amount of bikes that were out there, it was like, yeah, it's in the bag. We got this. We got this.
You know, to be part of something like that, you were just excited. I mean, it just felt awesome. And, you know, as we turned off the tarmac and we turned down the taxiway and all the bikes were still lined up, I mean, hundreds of bikes that still had to, you know, hadn't had their turn yet to go. And, you know, everybody's cheering and waving. It was a good feeling, you know.
So we rode around and we completed the course, and then they followed you right out of the airport so that they could keep bikes moving and not have any jam. So yeah, so after the event, we headed back to the hotel to freshen up and wanted to head down to the K River campground because we knew a lot of people would be down there that night. And we stopped in Antlers, we got some barbecue, and that's when we first heard on social media that we had broken the record. The numbers they were throwing around then were just over 4,000, but as you know, it was a little bit lower than that. And then we headed on up to Moyers to the K River after some barbecue.
Yeah, it was awesome to be a part of something that big, a Guinness Book of World Records, a Harley, you know, record, which we're all very passionate about as Harley riders, an American, you know, motorcycle, an American record, bringing it home from, you know, overseas. Just super excited.
That's cool. So, did you do it again?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's the little competitive part of me is hoping that some other country breaks it so that we have a reason to rally the troops and do it again. Absolutely. Final thoughts. Couldn't have asked for a better trip. So many things over that whole week that we were on this trip just fell into place. They just happened, you know, just dumb luck, and it was all for a reason. It was amazing. It was a great group of friends that I got to do it with. Couldn't ask for a better, you know, 3 guys to go with. Everything just happened for a reason, and it was an epic trip. It's one of those things that, you know, you're just never gonna forget, and just gonna be constantly trying to outdo it, which I don't know that we will, but we'll keep trying.
I would do it again in a heartbeat, anywhere, anytime. And the hospitality that we encountered throughout the whole trip was incredible. Absolutely incredible. So I give much props to Bert for planning out the route, that's for sure, because I don't think we would have gotten there the way we did if he didn't plan it out. So we'll do it again in a heartbeat. Hope the call comes.
Great trip. Couldn't have done it with a better group of guys. You know, the ride down, you know, was phenomenal. Even the ride home in the lousy weather, you know, it was an experience. You know, at the time we're like, this is, you know, we were miserable, but we look back now, we laugh about it. You know, it's a story that we all put away, and we have it, and we'll have it for a lifetime.
So would I do it again? Absolutely. We're actually waiting for the opportunity to do it again. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to break this record, because we didn't just break the record, we crushed the record. So if the call comes, we'll go. As far as the trip couldn't have been better. I mean, four great guys, John, Austin, Bert. We had an awesome time. We did something that none of us have done, which was a long motorcycle trip, you know, of that nature. You know, everybody's done a couple long days here and there, but to go to Texas and back and do an event and do it all in 7 days in a lot of rain was, I think, was a feat, you know, for all of us. And, you know, it prepped us for the riding that we want to do. So it was a great time. Thanks, guys.